Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the legal series. My name is Catherine. Tonight we are tackling a subject that touches many families, yet it's often surrounded by fear, uncertainty, and misinformation. Divorce in Kenya. What you need to know before you file. I'm delighted to be joined by Advocate Annette Kasande, the managing partner at Kasande Advocates and the founder at SinPar Legal Clinic. Annette is uniquely positioned as both a licensed family lawyer and a licensed therapist, bringing together legal expertise and a deep understanding of the human emotions that often accompany family disputes. At a time when many people need both legal direction and emotional support, Annette's work bridges that gap in a way that few practitioners can. Tonight, we'll explore the legal and personal realities of divorce in Kenya. Join me in warmly welcoming Advocate Annette Kasande, as well as Senior Associate of Kasande Advocates and Head of Legal for SinPar Legal Clinic, Ms. Paula Wandia Gikonyo. You're most welcome to the legal series, ladies.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for that warm welcome, and thank you to everyone who has joined us this evening. To start us off, tonight our goal is not to tell anybody whether they should stay or leave our marriage. Our goal here and our job today is to empower everybody because informed decisions always make the better decisions. So we want to demystify divorce, separate fact from fiction, and remind everybody that even when a marriage ends, dignity, respect, and family relationships do not have to end with it. So thank you so much, Catherine.
I like that. I really like that. Wow, I like. I mean, we might as well as end the live stream here. You've just taken it over. Annette, it's good to see you again. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for having us here again to discuss an interesting topic. I don't know what people think about divorce, but we are yet to hear from our viewers tonight.
Yeah.
As Paul has said, we are not here as experts of relationships, and we are not here to break marriages. We're just here to give information as people who are advocates and also in the therapy space. Thank you so much.
I like that, and you know, and I'm so glad that you're both here again. We had a very successful series a week ago. Well, is it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, on co-parenting, and that went really well. And so today, now we discuss divorce and this was born from that conversation actually. That time when you spoke about, we were talking about co-parenting and separation, if I'm not wrong, and that whole conversation is on our YouTube. And you said something that triggered now this particular episode today, which was, look, don't play games. If you're going to be separated, you can't be saying you want to be friends with your ex-partner. Like, can you be serious? And that was you, Annette, who said that. You're really tough. So why do you think, just to set us off and to just establish the context for today's conversation, why do you think divorce is such an important topic for us in this day and age?
Thank you so much, Catherine. I usually like taking my clients like babies. Right now, I'm sure the viewers are asking, what is divorce? So I think before I could answer your question, if you could allow me just explain.
Sure.
That's yes. Okay?
Yes.
So before we can talk about divorce, it's very important for our viewers to understand what marriage is in the first place, because divorce is as a result of marriage. So you cannot get divorced if you're not married. And in what governs marriage in Kenya is the Marriage Act of 2014. And this act clearly defines what marriage is. It actually states that marriage is the voluntary union of a man and a woman. I don't know what our viewers, what ideas they have of marriage, but well, the Marriage Act of 2014 for Kenya states between a man and a woman, not a dog, not a cat. So it should be clear, not between two women, not between two men. So that should be our guiding principle, because we are just telling you what's in the law, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And that marriage that we talked about, the voluntary union, should be registered. So you cannot say you're married and your marriage is not registered. I hope that's clear. Number two, the law, which is the Marriage Act, whenever I say the law for now, it's the Marriage Act of 2014, provides which marriages that Kenya adheres to. Which marriages do people decide to go with? So we have monogamous marriages and we have polygamous marriages. So
Okay.
monogamous marriages, just like the word, you cannot, marry another person except that person that you've chosen, one spouse. So
Mm-hmm.
here we have the Christian marriage, we have the Hindu, and we have the civil. That's under monogamous marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And then for polygamous marriages, we have the customary marriage and the Islamic marriages. So those are the marriages that allow polygamy. In short, you can marry more than one spouse.
Okay.
So anything outside the marriages I've stated, they are not marriages. And I think we'll talk about what we call can we stay in Kenya.
Yeah.
So many people are so confused. You are living as husband and wife, yet you are not. If you don't have a certificate in yourself or somewhere, then our viewers ought to know that that's not a marriage.
What is it?
It's the way you call it. You came to stay. You have no direction.
Are you telling me it's not recognized in our law?
Yeah, boyfriend and girlfriend forever with no direction. But then I will explain later, courts over time have had to attend to these types of marriages that people have insisted that they are marriages when they're distributing property.
Oh.
But you really, really have to prove, our intention was to get married, though we never reached Canaan. Our intention was to reach Canaan, but we never got to Canaan, the promised land. But you really have to prove to the courts. How do the neighbors hold you out? You hold out yourselves as a couple, but you are not. That's the truth. Again, whatever I'm telling you is in the act.
Wait. Okay, I know. I don't want to miss. Just we need to stick on this path. You're telling me that can we stay is not recognized unless one spouse dies and there's property to be divided amongst.
Yes, so now there they can consider you. You had your intentions clear, but you didn't regularize your intentions. You were on the promised land, you were going into Canaan, but you never arrived, basically. So you really have to prove to the court, I've had children, I was like a spouse, though I was not. They can consider you. But the courts have made it clear what are the types of marriages in Kenya. They are listed in the Marriage Act of 2014. And therefore, can we stay comes in case law, case by case. You have to prove. It's like a lost child who has to prove where they're from.
Yeah.
I have a birthmark here. We look alike, but we are not quite. You have no birth certificate. So that's the way can we stay marriages are. You have no marriage certificate, but you are really trying to prove your way. I'm a beneficiary. For example, if someone dies, they can consider you to be on the list of beneficiaries. However, it's not a marriage.
Okay. Wow. Thanks.
So what that means is that they have to register their marriages. That's why I thought I should start off, because if you don't fall under all the marriages I've listed, then we are not going to talk about divorce for you, because divorce comes after marriage.
Wow. Thanks for that, Annette. I mean, that is enlightening. So thank you for listing all the types of marriages. So that's the only circumstance or context in which divorce can happen. There's a certificate somewhere, and so now you want to separate from this person, whether man or woman, and it has to be man or woman, like you said, at least in this country. and
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 I forgot one thing. You have to be 18 and above, of course, to be married.
are there countries where people get married younger than 18 though?
Perhaps because we are here to discuss Kenya, I
Yeah,
don't want to mix issues.
okay. So what trends are you seeing now, when it comes to divorce? Like, what are the statistics looking like now, especially this year, where divorces is concerned in this country?
Okay, so just allow me finalize after having listed the types of marriages and
Mhm.
having understood what marriage is, then what is divorce? So divorce is the legal dissolution. So again, you cannot say you're divorced and go to your mom's house or go to your friend's house and say I'm divorced. You have to go through the court process. So
Oh,
that's how divorce is. It's because it's legal dissolution of a valid marriage.
okay. So you're not leaving to just say I've gone, I've left. Then we have
I've
divorce.
gone.
It
Yeah.
has to be through the court.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. The questions
So
already coming in, but we won't deal with the questions now. Let's first keep this track and mine a bit of substance from you and Paula before we start to address the what do you call it? The questions. But yes, Annette, yes, proceed.
yeah, so you were talking about the trends,
Uh-huh.
and it's important to note from the onset that divorce is not just a legal issue, by the way. It's an issue that touches relationships. It's an issue that touches families. It's an issue that touches children. It's an issue that touches us human beings or clients who are going to court. So it's not about them. The whole village is involved.
Okay.
So what that means is that the trends we are seeing, it's not even about, the client that is choosing to go to court. It's
Mm-hmm.
about other things. So what that means is that things have, over time, marriages have changed. The time of our mothers, it's not the same marriage of today.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the trends that we are seeing today is financial problems.
Mm-hmm.
Money has come to kill us. Therefore, responsibilities out to be, outrightly spelled out. If not, we are not compatible. Internet came to finish us. There's online dating. Someone is married, but they also have a partner online.
Okay.
Also, Kenyans are alive to their mental health, sanity. I don't want to run mad. Let me leave this marriage. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen mental health challenges. People are aware today, they've appreciated that actually I have a right under the Marriage Act,
Okay.
to opt out of this marriage. So people are alive to their mental health. People have considered their financial issues. So those are the trends we are seeing: financial, mental health, and of course, above all, the marriage is breaking up due to the irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. That, like, we are not agreeing to anything,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore the marriages are breaking up. So it goes, as I said, compared to our parents' days and today, people
Yeah.
know their right. You can imagine if you have younger siblings compared to yourself, Catherine, they can argue over issues better than you.
Yeah.
People are more confident, they know what they want.
Right.
But that has also brought so many problems for us.
Right. If I may, so why do you think people wait until there's a crisis? It's full crisis mode, and I just want to just stay away from this person. Why wait until there's a crisis instead of, for example, first seeking therapy? And yes, the reasons you've mentioned are quite valid. Finances, mental health, internet. There's lots going on. But why wait until crisis points? From your experience, and even from the work that you do with SinPar Legal Clinic, why do you think we wait until I'm on the cliff edge, um, as opposed to seeking help first?
Catherine, clients don't even know they're on the cliff edge.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just us professionals who notice,
Mm-hmm.
but actually, people just the way we are wired as human beings, we are there to try our level best. So no one enters marriage knowing that it's going to end.
Yes.
Everyone really tries.
Mm-hmm.
So in that trying, they don't even know they are losing it. They are pushing themselves to the wall.
Yeah.
And again, people are not informed. People don't even know therapy exists. They are just living the moment.
Yeah.
You're just fending for your children, waking up, going to work, back to your home, providing the basic needs. You don't even have time. And in
Yeah.
that process, most clients are losing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So just to answer your question, they don't even realize that, by the time they're coming to you, it's been a process. They didn't even realize, where did we go wrong?
Yeah.
Now this is, like when you push pain, if you have pain within you and you keep pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, you're not even sure that you even have pain. So people
Yes.
are not alive to these things.
Hmm.
So they don't
So
have information, number one, and they
yeah.
don't have information about therapy. Because you
Mm.
cannot know that you have a conflict. You're telling me about conflict resolution, but before you got conflict resolution, I don't even know that there are conflicts. I'm just in the survival mode.
Yeah. So in which case then the next question to go to naturally is, as a therapist, and maybe also Paula can chime in here. How does one know that this is not pain, this is not you pushing things under the rug, this is not you just deciding I'm just gonna just ignore that and go on with my life. This is actually you're on the cliff edge. So this is where you bring in your therapy cap and sort of help us, identify like what are those things that, in your opinion, in your experience as well, that make somebody know, okay, when you start having these symptoms, I don't know if that's the right word to use, then it's time for you to seek help, number one, with a therapist.
I think one thing actually I wanted to add is when it comes to why couples wait until the crisis point is there's still, even in this day and age, a lot of stigma still surrounding the whole concept of divorce. There's always this saying that people say, don't air out your dirty laundry. So, involving other third parties into your marriage, there are people who look down upon that even till this day.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the things therapist, I think there's later on in our conversation today, we are going to talk about, the things to look at. How do you know your marriage actually is, it's but in the cliff's edge, so to
Yeah,
speak. So
yeah,
I think, yeah, I'm going to give our professional, Annette, the therapist, to just give us some tell signs and, what you look out for. How does somebody know they've reached that point?
okay.
So, Catherine, as I mentioned, by the time clients are coming to us, it's not, it's that's not the beginning. It's been a process.
Yeah,
Things come and then you just keep putting things in the back, thinking things will be better. But then if you start realizing that, okay, you're not supposed to diagnose yourself, but you have like constant headaches, you're not
yeah,
able to concentrate at work,
yeah,
where there was communication, now there's actually even silence, you know.
yeah,
And we've seen also clients moving to separate rooms.
yeah,
You're in the same house,
uh-huh,
but you're in different rooms. Like you don't talk about, the man gives instructions to the nanny.
yeah,
The wife doesn't, care whether he eats or not, or vice versa. And where someone feels attacked. So basically, it's to do with your family life and also
mhm,
your work life. Even the people who like going to church, they stop going to church. So some people would say, that's depression or you have anxiety.
yeah,
You're not able to even look after yourself as a person, even basic things like combing hair. You're not performing at work. Everyone around you is complaining about you, including your parents. You've been dealing with your spouse You have your own personal issues, but now the pastor is complaining you're not going to
Yeah.
church. Your
Yeah.
friends are complaining you never pick up our calls. You're excluding yourself.
Yeah.
Your employer is complaining you're not doing your work, or you're not meeting the deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother or father somewhere is complaining you never call me. It's like the whole world is just crashing on you.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, at the end of the day, they're like, it's this marriage gonna kill
Mm.
me. Let me go
Yeah.
see now a lawyer.
Mm.
So it's based on different things. And of course, you can only know those things properly if you go to a therapist. If
Right.
we don't diagnose, we just listen to your story and walk the journey with you. We
Yeah.
don't diagnose.
So, what does this walking the journey look like? And by the way, then as you prepare to answer that question, I just want to let all our viewers know that you can ask your questions. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is What's Your Story Africa, in case you prefer to use YouTube to watch this series, or on our Facebook page. Just ask your questions, comments. These lawyers are just here to, even if you're asking for a friend, as most people like to put it, it's okay. Just ask your questions. Um, Annette, where were we? Yes. So walking the journey. So most people, it's true. Most people don't realize that you're actually on the cliff edge. So by the time something snaps, you want out. That's when they start looking for a lawyer. And most times, to be honest, and I've seen this, most people will take advantage of a process and stretch it unnecessarily for whatever reasons. So, what does the journey look like? Say, assuming now I've come to you, I've come to SinPar Legal Clinic, and I've said, okay, I know you people provide law services, you provide therapy services. I want to divorce my partner. And then so you listen to my story, you listen, and then what?
To see what we've been talking about, and it's important to say that these postponed conversations become future cases. So one thing that everyone should take away from this is communication. All these things we can, even if it's money, we can go round and round, but it's communication.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't talk about certain things, they'll become future cases to us, the lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to your question,
Yeah.
if we want to divorce, right?
Yeah.
After having listened to you,
Yeah.
we give you some time to go back and think about it.
Mm.
And I think Paula will talk about this because we've had instances where a client quarreled with a husband or vice versa last night, and they're in our office the next morning.
Okay.
And when you tell them, go think about it and get back to me, you never hear from such a client. And of course, they never come back to thank us. But it's okay. We are here to do that work, God's work. But what I'm saying is we really give them time, because why I told you SinPar is very important is
Yeah.
that we are not those lawyers. You come to us, we charge you, we draft documents. Because at the end of the day, people ought to know that also courts protect the institute of marriage. So it's
Right.
also our duty as lawyers to make sure. I'm not here to advise you whether to not divorce or not. I'm
Yeah.
just giving you a chance to think through, is this what you really, really want?
Mm.
And most of the clients we see are actually still in the matrimonial home. They are still living together as husband and wife. So they
Mm-hmm.
are thinking. So it's more of a strategy. How when sometimes when you talk to them, they tell you, no, I'm sure. What do you need from me?
Yeah.
So I take it a notch higher. So you're living with your spouse. When you leave, where will you go? Because we will not serve when you're in the same house with your husband.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
for safety reasons. Because also remember, we are going to court that the marriage has failed. The marriage has failed, but you've insisted to still be in the same house. So we are lying to the judiciary.
Okay.
Yeah. You
If it
collude.
has failed, you leave.
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Imagine us going to court and we are petitioning for divorce and you're still living in the same house. Just imagine a scenario like that. Yeah. So we will work on your safety. Even before we go into the nitty-gritties of divorce, we'll work on your safety
Yeah.
and have a plan. So
Mhm.
this is the information that people don't have. And that's why people, every time they talk about divorce, people don't want to talk about these things.
Yeah.
It's because it's emotionally draining, financially draining. But I think if you plan,
Mhm.
even your mental health is at a better, place because
Yeah.
you've planned. There's nothing surprising. You've gotten to know how much will the lawyer charge. You've gotten to know if I move out, how much is my rent? If I
Mhm.
move out, who will pay for the kids? If I move out, do I still, do I still have access to my, for example, have I taken my documents with me? Do I have my passport? Do I have my children's birth certificates? So it's all about planning, Catherine. That's what I
Yeah.
can tell you.
Yeah.
And then once we are sure that we have a roadmap, even including your safety,
Mhm.
I tell you, these are the documents I need. I write to you an email. Kindly give me a statement in your own words why you want a divorce.
Okay.
Yeah, remember, memories fade, emotions change, but words on paper never change. If you've written, you've written. So that
Mhm.
will also give the client clarity of what they want. I tell you, okay, I've heard why you want a divorce. Kindly go write to me. It's
Mhm.
like a statement.
Right.
In the course of my marriage, I've been married for 20 years. In the course of my marriage, this person has been disrespectful, blah, 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 blah. Just give your story in your own English, in
Yeah.
simple words. Okay? After you've
Yeah.
done that,
Mhm.
attach, remember we started with marriage, attach your marriage certificate because we might be wasting time with the lawyer when you're not married. As I said, you might be in a come we stay relationship and you don't need divorce. You just need to pack your bags and go to the next person. Yeah. So it's good. So you attach your to the email, you attach the marriage certificate, the birth certificates of your children. Tell me where you used to stay as husband and wife
Okay.
and where you'll be staying. The
Oh.
marriage broke down to the extent that you moved homes. So where are you
Mhm.
staying now? Can you give me the address where you're going to stay? Can you tell me where you used to stay? So, and plus your statement. And now I'm able to prepare what we call a petition
Okay.
with that information. So
Yeah.
based on your story, again, Paula will talk about the grounds based on
Yeah.
your story because your emotions cannot again form the grounds because we have specific grounds. I think this is the time I can give Paula an opportunity to talk
Okay.
about the grounds. Then after she's talked about the grounds, I can proceed.
Okay. All right. Paula.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for that, Annette. So under section 65 and 66 of the Marriage Act of 2014, we have the grounds for divorce. So section 65 is for Christian marriages, while section 66 is for civil marriages. And civil marriages basically are the marriages that have been, if you've married before an attorney general or before a registrar. So there is usually five grounds that we have for both Christian marriages and civil marriages. The grounds are the same. The first one is cruelty. The first one is adultery. This
Mhm.
is, it goes without saying what adultery means. The second one, we have cruelty. This can be this physical, there's physical cruelty, there's usually physical abuse, there's also emotional abuse. This is considered as cruelty, and it goes as far as to extend even to children. So I can actually divorce you because you are being cruel to my children. The third ground that we usually have is extreme depravity. As we all know, everybody, when you get into a union, obviously there are responsibilities that each party have. So if somebody is feeling, extremely deprived of, let's say, their conjugal rights and things to do with that, that is a ground for divorce and extreme depravity. And then we have the irretrievable breakdown of a marriage. When we talk about irretrievable breaking down of a marriage, basically both of you have exhausted all possible, reconciliation avenues, and all of those have failed. And then lastly, we have desertion. Allow me to kind of expound a bit when it comes to desertion. We usually have something very interesting called the desertion trap. Because when the Marriage Act of 2014 was passed in 2014, it created a hard boundary for couples who are married under civil marriages. So, according to Section 66(1), it stated that neither spouse could either separate or divorce their partner um, until at least 3 years had passed since the day they said I do. Obviously, the original legislative intent was, it was noble, which is basically, as all courts and officers of the court usually do, is to protect the sanctity of marriage and to make sure that, people who come into this marriage, it's not just a trial and error game. However, this section actually completely, ignored the harsh realities of abusive relationships, violent relationships and toxic relationships. So, very interestingly, actually, in about 2018, we have a landmark Court of Appeal case. It's Tukero versus Olegina versus the Attorney General. So basically, this case is the legal practitioner in this matter was challenging that section, that particular section, because again, this section only deals with people who have married under the civil marriage. So people under Christian marriages, people under Hindu marriages, you can divorce immediately. But for these people in civil marriages, you have that 3 year kind of caps. So it presents a lot of issues. If you think about, issues to do with equality, things to do with, the freedom from discrimination, for example, and even issue of dignity. So his whole point basically was that, forcing people to stay in trapped or dead abusive marriages, is unconstitutional. And basically, actually, the Court of Appeal solidified that ruling, that Section 66(1) that requires you to wait, for your certificate to have reached 3 years old for you to be able to leave your abusive partner, so it was declared unconstitutional. So the Court of Appeal basically looked at Parliament and said, yes, the protecting the sanctity of marriage is the goal, but forcing human beings to stay in violent or abusive relationships, because 3 years is 1,095 days, actually. For 1,095 days, just to certify that legal timeline is, it's completely disproportionate. So the cure cannot be more toxic than the disease. So to our viewers who are listening in this evening, to anyone watching, and you just know that you're not legally trapped. If you've married under civil marriage, the Court of Appeal came to fight for your rights. So you don't have to wait until your certificate is 3 years old. You can actually walk away. So I think that was important for us to know. So those are the grounds that we have under the Act. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. That was very well laid out. There's one particular one I don't think you said, and I always see it in this when these people in Hollywood are divorcing and they release statements and they say irreconcilable differences.
That's the irretrievable breakdown. You remember?
Okay. So what could be irretrievable or irreconcilable? Like, what could it be? Like, how bad would it be for that phrase to be used?
So I think what the legislators envisioned when they were talking about a marriage has irretrievably broken down, it means that you people have tried therapy, you've sought pastoral guidance, you have you've sat through. There's that thought process that you have seen, and at the end of the day, it's just things are just not working out, you know. So I think those are things that have to be considered
Okay.
to
Okay.
decide to, you know, establish whether a marriage has completely broken down. Like there's no chance of survival, you know.
Okay. All right. Before we come to you, Annette, there's just let me read one or two comments. There's one here from, and I want to thank her for just sharing. And my advice to her would just be to get in touch with SinPar. But this is what she says. Hello, my name is Mary. I've been separated for a year now, married under Christian marriage. I was married for a year. I have one child and I'm considering divorce. There has been no communication since I left my marriage. Reason for separation is abuse, emotional and psychological abuse, to be specific. What do you advise? I'm not a lawyer here, but I think because it's incredibly, what do you call it, personal, I would really just ideally just say the number is on your screen. Book an appointment with SinPar Legal Clinic, and just book a consultation with them. And and I like that you've asked that question because there's something to be said about people who are vulnerable with their stories. And so, Mary, you're powerful to even have shared it on this platform because you're seeking help. So the number is on your screen, Mary. Note it down. When you call SinPar Legal Clinic, you will be served by Miss Paula there, and they'll take it from there. Or Annette, what do you suggest?
I, I can also answer Mary. That's why I started off by saying that information is power.
Mhm.
And we are not here to break marriages. Neither are we here to insist that people should stay in abusive marriages. But we're here to give information. I mean, if Mary had a sister and was able to listen to us this evening and was able to, give her information, that would be powerful. But as you said, even just Mary becoming vulnerable and sharing, that is so powerful. We are so grateful that she's asked this question. And her answer would be, Mary, because you said there has been no communication. For me, that's what I picked. I'm wondering, communication from who?
Mhm.
You left, they will not communicate to you.
Mhm.
So information is power. It's you to start the process. No one will communicate to you. The court will not communicate to you. Your former spouse will not communicate to you. It's for you to visit us, and then we start the process if you're ready.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
I also pray that you can see a therapist while at it, because there's abuse, there's psychological abuse.
Mm,
So already, I don't know how you feel about yourself.
mm.
Kindly seek therapy services while at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like what you said. Who be the first one to initiate that communicate. Like be proactive with what the help
Mm-hmm.
that you're looking for. I think that's what you said, more or less. But Mary, yes, thank you for that. Yeah. So make that call. Let me put something else up here, ladies. Annette and her team have beautifully set out the law. While the core principles remain, the legal landscape has evolved significantly through recent judicial activism and a shift toward equitable outcomes. What are the new areas or evolving trends in divorce matters? That's a that's a statement question from Joanna Tim.
I think just to answer Joanne, I think just the way we've talked on that case, you know, challenging the legalities of these provisions of, you know, the act. I would say
Mhm.
that one of the trends that we are seeing, you know, these evolving matters is people are actually thinking, people are challenging, you know, these provisions, and you know, by that we have now leading jurisprudence and precedent that now
Mhm.
sits above these sections.
And
Right.
Dr. Catherine, what I can add,
Yeah.
unlike before where people would visit lawyers' offices, I want to
Hmm.
divorce, how can you help me? What do you need? How much do you charge?
Right.
We've seen clients coming to your office. a man tells you, I'm still married to my wife. However, I'm sleeping in a separate room. What are my rights? This is the property that we own together. How do I move on with co-parenting? So it's more of planning. People are aware that I need to plan than just waking up, going to the lawyer's office, they draft documents, and we are in court tomorrow.
Yeah.
So people actually know their rights, but they also want to do it respectfully.
Right.
They recognize, in fact, the last client we had, he kept on saying, my wife, I really appreciate her. I paid her school fees, though she has more money than me. She thinks she can disrespect me. I don't have a job. We have to have empathy as lawyers ourselves. But however, people are alive to the fact that I need to plan.
Yeah.
And of course, when you plan, you're not the same person. You're not as someone else who wakes up tomorrow and you're in court shouting over each other. It's respectful.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll talk about the children. So divorce is not just one person. So people are alive to the fact that it must be respectful and it can be done in a proper way.
Yeah, in a civil way. What about, and maybe you plan to share this, what if you have one spouse who doesn't want to divorce the other? So I have raised the divorce through a lawyer, and then my spouse says, I'm not divorcing you, forget it. What happens then?
Catherine, I'm sorry. I look like I'm not answering your questions, but I want us to go systemically. And then I'll come back to that. Why? Because that answer will come in the process. Remember when you asked, I want to divorce, what do I do?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay. And Paula talked about the grounds. And remember the statement that the client had sent, giving their reasons.
Yeah.
So that statement, we look for which ground to use based on Paula's grounds in the Marriage Act. It's not about your emotions. I'm bored of this person. I want to leave. He snores a lot. He's mean with his money. He used to give me money. He stopped giving me money. Nothing like that. As Paula said, there are specific grounds. So, okay, snoring is not in the Marriage Act. So where can we place your snoring? Have you told him about the snoring? Okay. So what does that mean to you? I stopped communicating. I stopped me. Okay. So for how long? Okay. So that means we can use irretrievable breakdown of the marriage.
Wow.
Yeah, and also we need to remember Kenya is a fault-based system. That's why we have to prove these grounds.
Fault-based system. Okay.
Yeah.
Adversarial system.
Yeah.
Loser, winner.
Yeah. We don't have a jury system.
Okay, that's what that means. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to prove that you are really suffering, even though people want us to sugarcoat some grounds. One person has to suffer. It's you against the other person. So it's a petitioner and the respondent.
Right. Right.
Okay. So once we have identified the grounds where you fall, it's not your job. It's the lawyer's job to put it in the legalese language. We file the petition. Once you have filed, you get summons. You serve on the respondent. And these days it's electronic, so you can serve on WhatsApp, on email. I don't have to look for you in Rongai or wherever you've gone to Russia. I'll just send you an email.
Okay. Rongai people just caught those trays. I hear you. Okay.
So we'll serve you. That's if we've gotten the summons. We wait for 14 days. We sit pretty. This is for you, Mary. We wait for 14 days. If the person doesn't respond, and that's why I said I'm going to answer your question. If the person doesn't respond, we have a process. There's a procedure. We file another application, the registrar's certificate application. We get a date in court. We are heard. We inform the magistrate. we served Kamau, for example, on this date. The 14 days have lapsed. They've not answered. We wish to proceed. And of course, the court has to, confirm that you indeed served. So they will give us, then we ask the court to proceed and defend it.
Okay.
Then they'll give us a hearing date. I'll just be online with my client. They'll visit my office. We attend court together. They adopt whatever documents we filed in court, and we'll be given a judgment date. Once a judgment is, the client doesn't, we only need the client once online. Once. You only appear once.
Okay.
And because remember it's online, courts are not interested in stories. He used to pull my braids, he used to beat me, he used to abuse me, he didn't buy me soap pants. They don't want to know your stories.
Okay.
So you just adopt your documents. Remember, even the other party is not there. So you want a divorce, why? You lead the client. So they give you a judgment date. Again, I don't need to see my client. It's for me to attend court as the lawyer. They give me judgment. Then I apply for what we call a decree nisi. That's the first one. And then after 30 days, the final document. Remember, we had a marriage certificate. Here we'll have a decree absolute. It's just one-page document. And that's the one that you can send to your relatives and friends and your new boyfriends and say, I'm divorced. That one document, it's called a decree absolute.
Okay.
Sorry,
what's the difference between decree nisi and decree absolute?
So decree absolute is the one they give you immediately, you get judgment. And the rationale, and you wait for 30 days to get the decree absolute, because again, courts are pro-marriage. They want to give you a chance in case you want to go back to your lovely husband or your lovely wife. It's at this point, because it's just a judgment.
Right.
It's at this point now you can inform court otherwise. But if 30 days lapse, then the courts presume for sure this marriage has come to an end. It's final. So they issue a decree absolute.
Got it.
Beyond that, if you want to go back to your person, you have to remarry.
Oh.
Because now the marriage has been dissolved for sure.
Oh, so you have to start the process again by registering.
Yes. If you want to marry the same person, you go back to the application process.
Wow. Okay. That is intriguing. Here's a question.
And also, what happens? What about those ones who feel they're in love and they're forcing you to be in love? So you serve, they get a lawyer, they respond.
What do you mean by forcing you to be in love?
They will always say that you're the problem. Others say, I still respect my wife. It's like they're against the divorce. That's what I mean.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, remember the scenario I gave is for spouses who don't respond, who are also tired in a way. So they're like, I don't need to spend money on a lawyer. I will not respond.
Yeah.
So there are those who will fight up to the end. So when you serve, they get a lawyer, you do a response. Then we also have unique situations that we call cross petitions, where you say the marriage has broken down, you no longer communicate. You make it really nice. It's not so bad, but you petition to court and say the marriage has broken down, we are not communicating, we are not having, my conjugal rights have been denied. You're just being nice. Then someone comes and says, actually, you committed adultery. You even have a child out of wedlock. So they do a cross petition as new grounds that were not part of the petitioner's grounds. But nevertheless, what I want to tell our viewers today, courts do not force people who are tired of being with each other to remain together. So even if we have those difficult respondents, at the end of the day, Do you have evidence under the grounds that Paula gave? Do you fall under, irretrievable breakdown of the marriage? Do you fall under desertion? Do you fall under cruelty? Because you remember, cruelty is also in the mind. If I feel whatever you tell me, it's causing me mental anguish, that's how I feel. You'll not change how I feel.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the divorce will be granted. Never at any one point do we fail to do clients fail to get the whatever they've asked for from court,
Okay.
except in cases where the court has no jurisdiction, because we have foreigners who come here to work and they petition for divorce, then eventually they move to another country. Let's say someone is Italian, he's in Kenya, he's working in Kenya, then eventually goes to France. Then they petition for divorce in Kenya.
Yeah.
So the court doesn't have jurisdiction because they have since left Kenya.
Yeah.
That's the only time.
And also,
So it's not about your spouse. It's not about how he feels. At the end of the day, you will be divorced. So you don't even need his permission.
yeah, if the marriage is dead, the court will eventually pronounce the time of death, basically.
Oh, yeah, you sounded like a coroner there at the morgue. Okay. Okay. There's something here that was sent by Barnabas. By the way, what are the main reasons many couples do not legalize their marriages and prefer to keep in the come-we-stay marriages?
They have trust issues. And some men don't want to pay dowry. Of course, when you legalize, you have to do what you ought to do.
There's actually a famous saying, I think people like saying it, is I think, why buy the milk? Why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free?
And
So that's those are one of the reasons some men actually do that.
And also the divorce, the high divorce rates, unfortunately.
Yeah. I like that you said unfortunately, because it is unfortunate. It was followed by this one by the call. Agneta says, doesn't the act state can we stay is considered a marriage after 7 or more years, or that was updated from the 2014 act?
The act is still the same. The act is still the same of 2014. We don't have an amendment. And as I've said, I think why our viewers sometimes confuse this. When your spouse dies, as I said, because you've been living with them for 7 years, they can consider you as a beneficiary. If you separate, yes, you are not married, but you are with someone for 7 years, and you come and say, I contributed to this property, I have my receipts, the courts can consider you.
Okay.
But now it's to their discretion.
Okay.
The maker of the act was very clear. These marriages ought to be registered. It's there. Even now we are pushing for clients to register customary marriages. Customary marriages have to be registered. Because before, when someone was married under customary law, would go to court, and then you have a Canva translated page of how many goats were paid. But we don't have a certificate. So courts have said, please, can you encourage your clients to register customary marriages? Their customary marriages.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll come to Paula and just continue our discussion in a few minutes. Let's just take this one last one. There's 2 or 3 more questions. But this person says, thank you for this session. I've just joined the webinar. Can one be granted divorce? I think Annette just spoke to this. If the husband is not in the same country and does not support a child, in this case, the marriage was official.
So we don't need you. You can be in China, provided you got married in Kenya. You can be in China, I can be in Kenya. We'll still divorce you, or you'll be granted divorce, vice versa.
Okay. So I think in this case, I'm assuming this person, unless he or she writes again, I'm assuming maybe it's the partner who's not in the country. The husband is not in the same country and does not support the child. So can she be granted the divorce?
So children and divorce are separate courts. I think
Mm,
Catherine, remember when we discussed this.
yeah.
So the viewer, please proceed and file for your divorce when you are ready. He doesn't need to be here. They'll serve him on email or on WhatsApp.
Mm,
And
okay.
then, even though he's not in the country, you can still, because you're the one with the child is on Kenyan soil, you can still approach the children's court. He will still be served.
I see. Okay.
You can do both actually concurrently together.
Mm-hmm. The one
Okay.
you can't do concurrently is matrimonial property.
Yeah.
But
Because then
children and divorce go hand in hand because the children will not stop going to school. They will not stop eating because they are divorcing.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Is this a good point to bring in out the children element, Miss Paula? You
yeah, I
know.
think we can talk a bit about the best interest principle. We
Yeah.
covered this and we touched on this in our first TLS episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when we talk about the best interest principle, as we had said, this is basically, first of all, it is provided for under Section 8 of the Children's Act and further anchored under Article 53 of the Constitution of Kenya. So that is why you will find the best interest principle. And when we talk about that, basically what we're trying to say is this is the legal standard, prioritizing the child's physical, psychological, emotional, and security and just overall well-being
Mm-hmm.
of the child.
Okay. So can okay. Can a child choose which parent they want to live with, or is there like a legal process to that as well?
So, for children, ideally from the age of 10 to 12 years, they usually have a say. Actually, when courts are considering the best interest of a child, they are guided by a checklist that is provided for under the first schedule of the Children's Act. So we usually have something courts look at, which is usually the child's age, the child's maturity, the child's ascertainable wishes. What do they want? So they definitely have a say. But what courts are very careful and conscious about doing is not burdening a child, with the final decision making. So obviously the courts have to take into account all of these things. Is this child mature enough to say, okay, look, I want to stay with this and this with daddy, or I want to stay with mommy, or all of those things. So there's definitely a checklist. There's a lot of thought that goes into it. So yes, they do have a say, but the overall burden is not placed upon them, to decide such heavy
Okay.
matter. Mm.
Okay. So, and in the case, and I know we touched a bit on it last week, but just to like, because we're having the conversation on kids, what if say I'm granted custody of the children, but then I frustrate my partner?
Mm.
Does the court have would the court have defense? Would the court defend my partner? Do you know the question I'm asking? I know you know the question I'm
I
asking.
think I'm hearing. I think you're kind of touching up on issues to do with access. Are you asking whether
Uh-huh.
I have, if I have custody of the child and then my partner,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yes.
and then okay, so as we had said in the previous episode, access is not denying anybody access for whatever reason is illegal, first and foremost. And we talked about what we call the gatekeeper parent. There's the gatekeeper, the person who denies access, and then we have the person who now doesn't remit the maintenance because they didn't get their access. There's always that tug and pull, that tug of war between parents.
Yeah.
But when that usually happens, we always tell our clients, just document everything and then go to court and get your access orders, because it's your right as a parent at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just before I come to the question on what healthy co-parenting looks like, I'm just wondering, just from the information you've shared so far, the both of you, the emotional, the emotional and the financial weight on whether you're the respondent or the petitioner, because both hurt, both lead to broken hearts, however you choose to look at it. And I'll start with you, Paula, because Annette is looking at me like she's like, don't bring your broken hearts here. So I can read her expression. But what is that weight, the emotional weight, the financial weight? It's an investment in time, and then you have kids, so that's a whole different court. Then you have property, you say that's a whole different process as well. By the time you're saying, I want to divorce this person, what is the cost to you as an individual, whether you're the petitioner or the respondent?
Yeah, so for us, what we always tell our clients is that divorce is not only emotional, it's
Mm-hmm.
legal, it's financial, it's practical, it will affect you, it affects the children, it affects even the extended family. So, one thing we've actually learned to do in our practice is we usually pose some questions to our clients, some questions that you need to ask yourself before you can actually answer the question, is this really what you want to do? So the first question we usually ask our clients is, have we when you ask yourself, you sit down, like there's something we usually say, kujiita kwa mkutano, you call yourself to a meeting, and you ask yourself, have we actually genuinely attempted to resolve our issue? Like, have we tried? The second thing we always tell our clients to ask themselves is, are we dealing with a temporary issue, or are we dealing with a permanent breakdown?
Right.
Those are two different things. And then another question we encourage them to ask themselves is, are you staying because you genuinely love this person and you can see yourself working on this relationship, or are you just afraid to start over? And then I think lastly, which is actually the most important one, is you need to ask yourself if whatever we're dealing with now, if these things do not change in 5 years, will I still stay in this relationship? So before you get to that, that process where now you're just like, now I'm filing. Before you file, these are the questions you could ask yourself.
Hmm. Okay. Annette, you want to add on to that and just slap me to form?
No, for me, my message today actually is more what I had already said, planning.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just get to know the financial implications around the entire process, because I really feel bad sometimes for our clients, but again, we are here to make money. Like, I don't know how to help, because we've had a client who has come to us.
Yeah.
The husband took her to court, so she's the respondent.
Mm-hmm.
She was probably thinking about the divorce process, but she was not yet there. Before she could arrive at the decision, the husband went to court first. So he's the petitioner. We had to defend her. So she's the respondent. So that's a divorce case. Before you know it, they're fighting over children. There's a children's case.
Yeah.
Before you know it, her matrimonial property had been transferred to the husband's friend without her knowledge. Hadn't she been taken to court for divorce, she would never have known.
Mm.
So we are dealing with a DCI issue here. She has to go to DCI over time to follow up because her signature was forged. But
Oh,
she only got to know how because she came to us and we were like, hold on, because we have to look at the whole comprehensive, situation.
yeah.
Yes, we are here for divorce. While at it, because we know what we are doing, do you
Mm-hmm.
have matrimonial properties, so that we can protect her property?
Yeah.
She gives a search, we obtain a search, and we find that the property has since passed hands. It's owned by the husband and his friend. Okay? So we have
Wow.
to deal with that. Then remember, we're in court over the divorce. Then we're in the children's court, you know. This is one person, and she's dealing with the in laws.
Mm-hmm.
She has a job to go to.
Yeah.
And Annette is advising therapy. That's another cost.
Yes. Yes.
So you can imagine how much that person has spent. It's not even about money, even her emotional well-being. You can
Yes.
imagine it's only one person.
Yeah.
And we are not
So,
talking of someone who is above 50. This is someone in her early 40s. Life just crashed on her. You
whoa.
have to attend all these court matters. Yeah, one
Mm,
person.
mm,
So, going back to the trends,
mm-hmm.
people who come and say, what should I do?
Yeah.
Preparation. You prepare yourself financially. The
Mm-hmm.
lawyer will cost me this. If I
Mm-hmm.
go see a therapist, it will cost me this. If I move out of the house, this is how much my rent will cost. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
he might not help me because I've moved out. I might have to spend more money on food. Remember, I used to share all these bills. So the cost is not one figure that we can give you for sure.
No. No.
Yeah.
However, I would advise our listeners this evening, if you go to a lawyer and you request that the lawyer represents you in a divorce matter, agree to a fee. It should be capped.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because these are emotional issues. Sometimes we represent you, the matter starts off well, then we are dealing with a man who has a lot of psychological issues, or a woman who is just, and the lawyer, even you, yeah, as if part of it. So
So,
some lawyers are inclined to charge more money. So because you don't even have money, the more reason you need to agree with your lawyer beforehand. How much will you charge me from the beginning up to the end? Whatever figure you've agreed to, that's it. No matter how long the divorce takes, at least I know my lawyer will charge me this.
mm, mm, mm,
And then also the therapist, because even with SinPar, we have therapists that we've signed up who are
mm-hmm.
able to give affordable services.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the therapist will charge me this per session. The lawyer will charge me this. School fees is this. Some things of course, there are unforeseeable circumstances, but I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can plan.
Yeah.
It's very important to plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Just hearing that, I'm just like, yeah, and a lot of prayer and counseling from the therapist. Look, there's something here. Hi, Catherine. This should have been hi, Annette, and hi, Paula, but it's fine. Can a 90-day marriage be deemed irretrievably broken down if one spouse seeks divorce and the other wants reconciliation? Does an unborn child's welfare matter?
Even 2 days,
Oh,
Yeah.
even one day.
Yeah.
We can go to church today and somehow I find out that you lied to me about a significant issue in our marriage. And that gives me a mental breakdown that day. Tomorrow, I'll go to a lawyer. So I don't have to wait for 90 days or 30 days,
yeah. Oh,
unfortunately.
yeah.
So you can still file for divorce even after those 90 days.
Hmm.
And then does an unborn child's welfare matter?
Mm-hmm.
Issues to do with children, like we said, and issues to do with the marriage are two different conversations, two separate issues. So, of course, at all times, an unborn child's welfare matters, but that is, so to speak, irrelevant to whether this marriage is proceeding or ending or whatever. Because at the end of the day, we still have to take care of this child.
Yeah.
This is it
But
doesn't.
that will also depend if this child is for that spouse.
Yeah, obviously.
That spouse can't be sure. Especially this one who wants to walk away. Those are the ones that might be the woman, of course. But anyway,
So
that's on a light note.
it wasn't light to me because I'm like, okay, this twists and turns are a bit too much. Look, this person, Crispus, I'm assuming that's a gentleman's name. Uh, Assuming this 90-day marriage, that's 3 months married. and then one person seeks divorce. So maybe he wants divorce, and maybe the wife does not. The wife wants reconciliation. And I think also, if I'm to just be a bit sensitive to this, just discerning, it's almost as though because there's an unborn child, I don't want to divorce, but she was, so you're there because you're like, what will people say? 3 months, there's a baby, but I don't want. There's so, I think there's so many voices in his head and also around him. Paula.
Yeah, Catherine, I think like we said, you can oppose a marriage by the way you are entitled to your personal feelings and opinions. We also know that it takes two people to build something, but sometimes one person just, is not able to sustain, the union. So yeah, personal feelings, we are all for personal feelings and what people want, but at the end of the day, you cannot force somebody or pin them to, to a marriage. You can't do that.
So maybe Annette, they should come for therapy, no?
Yeah.
That could be perhaps, something that they need
And
to.
I don't know who lied to people that for you to go to therapy, you're mad or the marriage is ending. No, 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 no. If your husband tells you something and you don't agree, most of the time it's about money. We must agree.
Okay.
He's saying we can't buy this kind of TV. You're saying we need that TV for World Cup. And that can take us to therapy because you don't want to kill each other in that house. So I always tell people, you can go to therapy. We are not about to divorce, but we can agree. How do we use our money? Because for you are saying I buy a TV, another one is saying I can buy makeup.
Okay, you're just gonna make me divert. What are some of the cases or reasons that you've come across in your many decades of experience that people fight over? Because it surely cannot be a TV.
Catherine, for me, I think Paula will add on, but for me, everything rotates around money. What we've seen, people can hide around emotions, but money is very relevant in a marriage.
Okay.
So someone will say, I have a mental breakdown. Why? I'm providing everything to my children. All this man does is sleep, wake up, go watch football, sleep, wake up, and he eats my food that he doesn't buy. I pay school fees. Vice versa, the men are also overworking. Women are not really contributing so much. So it's about money. Decisions regarding money, everything is about money.
Okay. Someone here says this is a good conversation. Thank you, Mariah. Somebody here said, "Oh, this is a good one. I think. Let's see if I can show it. Is there a timeline whereby if a couple is separated, they are deemed divorced, or is it a must? At least one of them must apply for divorce."
At least one of them must apply for divorce.
There's no presumption. You can't be.
There's no presumption of divorce. If you go get another side chick and say, you see, I'm no longer living with my wife. I'm in this house alone. I'm divorced. I'm separated. First of all, even that's not separation. You've just taken a break from your conjugal rights. You've taken a break from your duties as husband and wife.
Yeah.
Unless you do legal separation. There's also legal separation.
Right. Okay. Legal separation. Oh.
Yeah.
Meaning what? Like we're not divorcing, but we're separating legally. Then in the homes that we
you petition the court. One of you petitioned the court that I want to. Especially, we've had instances for clients who, most of them are Catholics, due to religious, reasons, and also cultural reasons. I don't want stigma, and also the financial, the financial bit being heavy on you if you divorce.
Yeah.
And then we've also had an interesting trend regarding clients who are waiting to get an immigration status.
Oh.
If I divorce him, then I will not get, I'll not be able to become a Kenyan citizen, for example. So let me wait.
Oh.
So because they want to put their house in order a bit, they petition for separation. So separation is just giving you a break from, from each other, but it's
Actually,
not divorce.
yeah, the legal term is it's called a judicial separation.
Meaning we'll come back again after some time.
Yeah. Of course, most of them never come back, but they are still, they're still married on paper. Yeah, what that means, you can't go get someone else, even though you have legal separation. You're still married.
Yeah.
At least you can't get somebody else legally, right?
Yes. And if you try to get a girlfriend, then now your other spouse can petition for divorce. Adultery.
Right.
That's how your girlfriend becomes pregnant, gives birth. So you give me a very good ground to represent that client and give adultery as a ground. And then we say, as a result, there's this child.
Okay. Speaking of children, that seems to be coming up today. Annette, thanks for this. Divorce is such an emotive issue indeed. Children many times bear the hidden, I like that she used the word hidden, emotional and psychological costs of divorce, even when parents attempt to split amicably. She's right. Kids don't show it, right?
Yeah.
That's true. And then, Catherine, allow me state that the grounds that Paula gave, the grounds for divorce under cruelty, you actually don't have cruelty, towards Annette as a person. If you are cruel to the children, that's an enough ground for divorce.
Okay.
If you are cruel to the children physically or emotionally.
Yeah.
Like, these parents who keep on telling you you're a very stupid child, you'll never go far with life. If I can't stand it as a mother, then I can use that as a ground for divorce. You don't really have to do anything towards me. Cruelty towards me or the children.
Got it. Okay. Let's move to property, finances. You spoke a lot about preparation, and still just encouraging our audience to share your questions, comments, opinions. This is a good forum for that. I mean, I thought I knew some little information about the divorce process, but you have educated me today. The last one now, you have just blown my mind. Things I did not know. See, again, the things we assume we know, until now, you're all in the legal profession check in and say, no, that's really what you know is not the right information according to the law. So do we touch on property as well? I know you had brought it up a bit earlier, but maybe this is where now we go in depth.
Okay.
On the property element.
Okay. So I think everyone who knows me and their friends, they are my friends. I always say one thing: don't fall in love. You have to fall in love with wisdom.
Wow, I like that.
These scenarios, we see people getting married and all of a sudden they've left their brains at home and you're just doing things, contributing to property right and center. It's not right. So our viewers tonight, please fall in love with wisdom. In case you forget anything I've said, fall in love with wisdom. Just say, Annette said, fall in love with wisdom. Because why? Times have changed. We are not in the times of our parents. We are meeting so many goons on the street. We are meeting all kinds of characters on these streets. And before we know it, these are people who will marry us or our relatives and friends. What that means is that we need to be awake to what's happening to us and know that I'm entering this marriage. I need to know what my rights are.
Yeah.
And regarding property, the act that, guides the property upon dissolution of marriage is the Matrimonial Property Act of 2013. and it talks about that spouses should know their rights during, at the time of marriage, during, and at the point of dissolution.
Okay.
So, of course, you've heard of people saying we used to own this property. Therefore, now that we've divorced, we are going to divide the property 50-50. No.
Okay.
So, any property that is acquired in the course of the marriage, and take note of the word in the course of the marriage,
Okay.
is called matrimonial property.
Mm-hmm.
So, matrimonial property could be the property where you live as husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
We stay in this house, we've raised our children, that's matrimonial property.
Mm-hmm.
It could also mean we are here, living here somewhere in Westlands, we get another house in another place, and we've decided to put tenants, because you can only live in one place for sure.
Yeah.
We put tenants, you bring money, my husband brings money, we build this, this development of, this structure of apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Still in the course of the marriage, that's matrimonial property because both of you have contributed to it.
Okay.
So what happens to property then that Annette acquired before she got married? Annette is very hardworking. She goes, buys an apartment somewhere 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Along the way, she meets her husband, and the husband, for some reason, now that they have divorced, the husband, for some reason, thinks he can have the share of Annette's apartment that she bought before marriage. That's not matrimonial property. I had it before I got married.
Okay.
Okay. And then what happens? Again, I said matrimonial property is property obtained during the course of the marriage. But what happens? Annette has a plot of land somewhere. And then Annette meets her husband. The husband is very ambitious. He says, Annette, I think we can build, a block of apartments and we rent. Remember, it was not his. So what the courts have done, they've appreciated that this is not matrimonial property. However, this person has undertaken a beneficial contribution towards this property. So even though Annette owned this plot before marriage, but upon getting married, the husband has contributed, then that person can go to court based on their contribution, and the court in their discretion can give them a share of that property, even though it was not matrimonial property. It's beneficial interest.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just giving you different scenarios because different people fall under different, And then what happens also, I'm using myself as an example. What happens also, Annette is married. Again, Annette is very ambitious. She goes and buys apartments right and center around Nairobi. I could even inform my husband. I don't really have to hide, depending, because for me, I don't hide. I'll tell you, I've bought 2 apartments in Westlands. Yeah, I'm getting my rent.
Okay.
Fast forward, my husband probably, in the course of the marriage, So fast forward, my husband divorces me and he thinks, oh, I'm going to get, a share of all these apartments of Annette that she has bought in the course of the marriage.
Right.
He has not made any contribution. Remember, it's not our matrimonial home. It's separate property.
Okay.
Therefore, he's not made any contribution. He cannot claim that property. It's separate property, even though I bought it in the course of the marriage.
Okay.
Unless he proves that he, contributed to the purchase of those apartments. But for the scenario I've given you, I'm just informing him.
Wow. Okay.
Another scenario, still with Annette's apartments. They are building the apartments. I tell my dear husband, I bought apartments. Do you want to go visit? He comes to visit. He tells the developer, I think we should have yellow tiles. We can
Okay.
change these tiles.
Yeah.
Let's change this, this kitchen where it is. Let's put it there. He's giving views. He's even paying the plumber to work
Mm-hmm.
on different works. I've brought him in my life. So he's even supervising the works.
Uh-huh.
Annette is busy looking for money. She's somewhere working. That's contribution.
Yes.
He's supervising, he's left his work, he's supervising your works, he's paying the foodies, he's paying, all sorts of people. He's even the one, because usually when you buy property and you make any changes, everything is it's at your cost. So he's the one even paying for the yellow tiles. You brought him in your business, so he ought to have a share, even though it's separate property.
Because he
Okay.
has a beneficial interest. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Hey.
Then what happens to matrimonial property? Of course, the main cases we see, properties in the name of the man. You stay in the house, you divorce, and he tells you your name is not on the title, therefore you're not entitled. You go to court. So
Mm-hmm.
the courts will look at contribution, and the courts over time have defined what contribution is. There's monetary and then non-monetary contribution.
Mm-hmm.
Monetary, as the word goes, money. You've probably gotten a mortgage or you've paid, your husband paid for this house. However,
Mm-hmm.
for you, the wife, because you are stay-home mom, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have money, so you did not contribute financially, but all you did was childcare. You gave him companionship.
Yeah.
You did domestic work for this dear husband of yours to go and look for the money, and they are busy cooking and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
courts have looked at monetary and non-monetary contribution. So again, the discretion is on the court. It's not 50-50. Please, dear viewers, it's not 50-50. Don't confuse things here. Fall in love with wisdom. It's not 50-50. Yes, you'll go to court. Annette told you you'll get a share. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not for me to determine, even as the lawyer, it's the court to determine what share. So based on this non-monetary contribution that you have said, you looked after the children, you gave him love, you were able to look after, to manage the home. Even if you had a nanny, it's okay. You are managing.
Hmm.
You're on the management committee. You will still get something.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just to
Then we
add,
have scenarios, sorry, Paula, then we have scenarios of where
Uh-huh.
property is jointly owned. Both spouses, their names are on the title.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a CEO who has a lot of money, but he has a lot of love for the wife, decides, oh, okay, Annette, I'm going to put your name on the title by virtue of you being my wife. But Annette have not contributed anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then we divorce. So this CEO is like, that was not my intention. My intention is because you are my wife. But now that we have, he's the one to move court and say my intention was for both of us to hold the property, but actually Annette contributed nothing. So you can still challenge these things.
yeah,
So where is this leaving us as people? Are we going to fall in love with wisdom, but by keeping receipts under beds? I don't know. It's really sad, but this is where we are at because the courts work with evidence, unfortunately.
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
actually something I had wanted to just add to what Annette was saying. It's actually a very big misconception that people usually have, is
Mm-hmm.
that if your name is not appearing on the title, automatically, then that means that you're not entitled to anything actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we usually have something called the sweat equity rules. Because the court looks at your sweat, your care, like Annette said, and your contribution. So you have to be able to prove your direct or indirect contribution. So that's like your sweat equity, so to speak.
You said sweat equity what?
Rules.
Rules. Hey.
Yeah, it's basically just proving your contribution.
Yeah. So
Mm.
basically, what I'm hearing you guys say to me and to the people watching us today is, in a loving relationship, fine, yes, you fallen in love with wisdom. That's wonderful. But anything I'm doing, I have to have photographic evidence. I have to have receipts. I have to just base whatever the case might be. Is that what I'm hearing? Like, what kind of union is that, though? I mean, what?
Let me even bring it closer home. You've heard
Okay.
of prenups?
Yes.
Prenuptial agreements. I don't know how many Kenyans know that actually those agreements are provided for by the Matrimonial Properties Act. They are there under Section 6. So, because we are all trying to give ourselves information, remember where I started off by saying, let's have access to this information. Let's be in the know. Let's not be ignorant. You can actually agree with your spouse at the beginning of the marriage. These are the properties I have. These are the properties that you have.
Yeah.
We are we are in this marriage forever. But should things go south, everyone goes with their things.
Okay.
These are difficult discussions that you need to have with your spouse. And then you sign a prenup.
And then it saves you from all this heartache.
Yeah. Take an example, blended families.
Right.
People have worked so hard for things, and then you are the second mommy. There's a lot of confusion. Someone has been divorced. Actually, those ones who have been divorced are the ones who are very, very careful. Once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing to put your house in order. Have that prenuptial agreement.
Yeah.
Because courts are recognizing those agreements.
Okay.
But if you trust your person, then make sure you're on the title. If you're not on the title, then no. If the worst comes to shove, this is how I'll protect myself.
Yeah. And are prenups given through a lawyer? Like, what's the process there?
With AI, even you can draft it. We don't need to be there unless you want us to eat their money for free.
Because then how does it become a legal document? I think that's what I'm asking.
We register it.
Okay.
It has to be registered.
Okay, I see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody here has said, what have they said? Doreen is saying, fall in love with wisdom, with a few fire emojis there. Doreen has landed your point. This one is saying, what about property acquired after a separation but before divorce?
So I would presume she means a separation, legal separation again, not I'm tired of my husband, let me step away. But again, okay, what I can advise that person, please, because you've decided to separate, you know why. Like separation is kind of a subset of a divorce. You know why you've decided to separate from this person. Yeah. So can you not share so much of your information with the other person? Because where will he prove or she prove contribution? They can hear you bought a house. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. How has he contributed? So save you a lot of stories by informing whoever cares that you bought 4 houses upon your separation.
Okay.
That's what I would advise. Just keep your property information to yourself.
Yeah.
If that property is safe. But if there's any contribution, still that aspect will be applied.
Okay, and they have clarified and said not legal separation.
Again, so that means they are still married.
Yeah.
Again, that means they are still married.
Yeah.
Contribution, you can still, get that property of yours. Go for that plot, go for that apartment, go for that villa, go
Yeah.
for that townhouse. But if
Okay.
they have not contributed, then how will they prove? It's still yours.
Okay. Hey,
Yes.
I'm meant for women empowerment. I see that. Let's see what this one is saying. Renaba says, for the property obtained during the marriage, how do they determine what is marital property? I think you just explained that,
Yeah, she
no?
just explained. Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
explained. Then this one, what is this one saying? Thanks, Annette and team, for this. Thank you for watching. I'm hoping I haven't ignored anybody. Let's see. Oh, there's one here. Oh, um, hold on. Gosh, I'm having to scroll up. Hold on, everybody. We are getting there. Yes, there we go. If one spouse contributed money, this is Jaina. If one spouse contributed money while the other contributed caregiving, household management, and support, how does the law view these forms of contribution? I think you also spoke to that, didn't you?
About that, yeah.
Said there'll be a share, there'll be something, whether it's one share or two shares, but the court will rule in, and they need evidence. Did you said something like that? No.
Yeah. There's monetary and
Yeah.
non-monetary, like she said. So if somebody is contributing money, that's monetary contribution, which is looked at, obviously. And then if you're taking care of the home and the household management and all of that, that is non-monetary, which is also highly valued when establishing who gets what.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So maybe the question I want to ask now is, when you get married, so as a couple, how do we, as so we're a couple, we're a unit, we're a union. How do we, as individuals, ensure we protect our financial future? Who wants to take that?
Paula, she's not part of the couple system, but she can try.
Um, I think the theme really of this discussion has been, just communication. It's
Yeah.
so important for people who are trying to do these serious things. These are serious things, to be open and honest about, how does this look like. The communication is key for me. That's what I would suggest, because actually another thing that we've seen is that even in fact one of the things that that your marriage is in a bad spot, or that
Mm-hmm.
things it's stuff as it's reached the cliff's end, is that there's a
Mm-hmm.
breakdown of communication. So I feel like as long as parties are communicating,
Mm-hmm.
what their ideas are, what this looks like, and there's that honest, conversation, then that's important and is key in protecting, their financial future. So
Yeah.
communication for me, and
For me,
honesty.
okay. Thank you, Paula, for trying. She's aspiring to be in the couple system. May God help us. Maybe we'll get someone after this live. But anyway, so I would like to give an example since I'm married.
Uh-huh.
And for our single friends or our single viewers who are online, please don't give up. And even for the ones who are planning to divorce or the ones who have already divorced, there is still hope. Don't give up. You'll
Yeah.
meet better people. But anyway, it's so interesting. I always think about this. It's so interesting when people are getting married, they are sharing wedding budgets, they are sharing, it's so interesting that you can't now share a budget as a couple on
Yeah.
how you intend to spend your money. Because Paula will talk about communication, but me, I'm so much about money because people don't want to talk about money. Why are you scared about talking about money yet you begged people to contribute to your wedding?
Mm.
And now that you're in the marriage, why don't you want to talk about money? So, Catherine, I told you last time when I got married, and sorry for the viewers who are already like 40 years in marriage, me, I'm giving my experience as a young married girl.
Yeah,
When
young
I got
bride.
married,
Yeah.
I first of all, I took my husband to the therapist
Oh,
because I have background of therapy. We didn't go to the ones of church, and I'm not saying church therapy is bad. We went to an impartial therapist, not based on church or mosque or
okay.
a relative.
Mm-hmm.
A Ugandan, they would send you to an auntie to talk to you. No, no, no. We went to someone who didn't know us.
Okay.
I don't even remember her name, but anyway, she helped us.
Where were you
So
going? Why? Why?
I
Why were you
wanted
going?
clarity regarding finances. I'm
Oh,
answering your question. Boss, these are our bills. Water, electricity, to the extent of even listing internet. Water, electricity, internet. What are you gonna be paying for? And
uh-huh.
what will I be paying for? It was very clear.
Uh-huh.
So somehow along the way, where one party feels like, okay, we should pay for this, I'm like, okay, but we agreed to pay for this and this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to plan. That's why I'm saying people have wedding budgets, but they don't want to have budgets for their homes. Everything is about money. They have children, there's food, there's, at the end of the day, the matters we see in our offices, it's because people are disagreeing around money, money. What happens? Every time I see you talk about money, so I've stopped talking.
Mm.
When I talk about this, you're very disrespectful because these are the cases we see in the office.
Right.
In fact, you're causing me mental anguish. This is how much I can provide.
Okay.
The man has failed to get a job, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So the woman looks at the man differently. The man is, choosing to opt out. These are the clients I'm telling you who are coming to us. How do I plan to live? I might not have enough, but I want to live with a budget. I will have to look after my children. I will have to do this and this and this and this. These are the difficult conversations that they refuse to have at the beginning, but they
Yeah.
had a wedding budget.
Mm. Hmm. That's a good
So for
point.
me, so for me, that's what I would say really. All
Yeah.
these things of mental breakdown and mental well-being and even adultery.
Mm-hmm.
Because this person is not providing, so people go to the ones who can provide, unfortunately.
Okay.
And
So,
tying down to Paula's comment of communication, the
mm,
marriage breaks down.
so you are giving an example with your own, where you and your partner, your husband went to a therapist, and you said it was about
Mm-hmm.
finance. So who, like, responsibility and accountability between the two of you, who's doing what? Is that what I understand it to be?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Uh-huh.
clarity from the word go.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also knowing what do you own? Me, I
Mm-hmm.
have nothing. You own this, that is yours. Remember
Okay.
what I told you about prenups? They are
Yeah.
not in writing, but at the back of my mind, even when I have selective amnesia, I know this is for my husband, it's not mine.
Right. Hey. Okay. Okay.
It's
And
clear.
so, would you say then, as a therapist, now speaking as a therapist, because you're a therapist, would you say then, when you do that, then you're able to protect the love element of your union?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Wow.
these are the difficult conversations that people don't want to have, but you are
Yeah.
having them at the beginning. Don't
Yeah.
judge me. But this is the apartment I have. This is what you have.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to go about this?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I like that.
And then if we have disputes, whom will we go to?
Uh-huh.
Are we going for therapy? Are we going to your auntie? Are we going to your mother? Are we going to my mother? Are
Mm-hmm.
we going to your sister? Are we going,
Yeah.
or your best maid or best man?
You agree beforehand. Before you say I do. Okay,
Yes.
hold on.
And again, this is not legal. These are my opinions.
Yes, and I like them. I have a friend of mine who said to me when she got married, when she was getting married with her partner, her husband, and they both agreed. No matter how we are angry, how both of us are angry, it doesn't matter how high we are feeling, like we are mad. No one is leaving that room. Whether you will sit there and nuna for like a whole 2 hours, we are not leaving that room until one of us can say something. Like we have to have healing in the same room we fought. And I'm like, what? Okay, it sounds good when you say it. But practically speaking, I mean, they're together now 15 years later. It's beautiful. But I thought, wow, okay, so to each their own. I think people put guardrails of protecting their forever and ever, you know. There we go. If, let's say, a spouse gifted his wife a car or land, the records show that the husband bought with no contribution from the wife. Okay, you gifted your wife, so of course she did not contribute. But the car or land is in the wife's name. Okay, you gifted her and you put the receipts in her name. That's a good man. What happens in divorce? Oops.
I think we talked about this actually a bit earlier on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important that she said that it was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So you see now, in this case, if it was something that was gifted to somebody, then that does not constitute matrimonial property.
Because it was a gift.
Mm.
Okay.
And also, Catherine, it's important to talk about gifts that, people get from their parents, when you're getting married and
Yeah.
your parents give you land
Mm-hmm. Inheritance.
of
You've inherited.
inheritance. That's
Yeah.
not matrimonial property. I've been given an apartment by my father, and you
Mm.
think that's matrimonial property? No, it's a gift.
Mm.
However, we've seen a very interesting trend recently
Okay.
where your father gives you a plot of land, then your husband comes in, he builds. The land belongs to your father still. What happens?
Mm-hmm.
You've divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the man to go to court to prove his contribution. Of course, now you'll be fighting your father-in-law, your ex-father-in-law. Sorry, I forgot to say ex.
Hmm. Okay. So in such a case, like what, like what happens? You can't demolish you can't demolish your apartments on your ex-father-in-law's land,
No,
can you?
your father-in-law will give you notice to leave. And then, of course, you contributed. You have to go to court and, tussle it out there. Because your father-in-law is not your spouse.
Eh, you
And he
get
was
your
doing it for the benefit of his daughter and his grandchildren. You're not a grandchild. You're not his daughter, neither you. I don't know what you are. So you have to tussle it out in court.
somehow tussle it. Okay, and the last one that we're gonna put up so that I can get your final opinion: isn't non-monetary contribution highly biased? First of all, Barnabas, thank you so much for your contribution on this live stream. I mean, you have done. I mean, you're part of us. I think the next one you should be here as well to just ask us
Thank
questions.
you, Barnabas.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Isn't how can they measure the level of emotional? Thank you. Someone is touching on
Yeah,
my emotions. Yeah, for
this is,
me, I'm
yeah,
emotional. How can
this
we
is
measure the level of
it's this question
emotion?
has been debated, I think,
Yeah,
numerous times, because you can actually not quantify
right.
somebody's emotional contribution. That's
Uh-huh.
why we usually say we leave it to the discretion of the court. So it's up to the court to determine how much your caregiving and your your non-monetary contribution, has amounted to. Really, that's because you see, you can't put a tag on it at all.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. This is the worst part about divorce. You can get money to pay Annette and Paula there at Kasande Advocates. You can get the money, but
Mm.
healing, this thing,
Yeah,
which leads me to
Mm.
how does one start to rebuild? And this
yeah.
is where your strengths as therapists come to play. How does one? So fine, I've managed to find the money to hire services as lawyers. You've taken me through this process. By the way, how long does the process take?
So,
So it depends on the kind of person you married, really. Remember how we started? If it's the person who really wants to teach you a lesson, you'll do responses and responses and responses. But again, for lawyers, it depends on whom you act for. If I act for the petitioner and we've served you,
Mm-hmm.
and the respondent is going over and over, I'll cut it. I'll just say, I'm reiterating whatever I said, because there's nothing for you now to respond to if I reiterate.
Right. Okay. Hey, so
Because
if
I
you
want my client to divorce, it depends
Mhm.
on whom you act for.
Mm.
and
So it could
obviously,
be
it
what,
goes
a
without
year,
saying,
2 years?
it goes without saying that if your divorce is contested, obviously that takes longer than if there's no response, obviously. And so, actually, to your question, you can't say, also we are also relying heavily on the magistrate's calendar. What does his diary look like? His next date could be even 4 months from now, 3 months from now. You can't really say, but I think what we have seen, let me talk about in practice. I've
Yeah.
seen I've recently we did an uncontested divorce that was actually pretty quick. I think it was even 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've had such a case. We've also had another one that was 6 months. So it's really hard to put a specific type of time frame, but yeah, it really depends on it
Mm.
depends
On
on
so many factors.
so many
Okay.
things. You can't
Okay.
really. Mm.
So how do we then start to rebuild? How do couples that are divorced and, especially if there are children involved, because some things you can always replace, like property, you can, but the kids, the emotional, the healing, the rebuilding process, if you can just quickly just address, like, what would you advise couples who have done with that process and they want to start rebuild? Where does one start? You know, Annette, you can maybe go first.
Okay, for me, it's more of most divorced couples forget. Okay, they always worry about the children. They are thinking, okay, for me I can manage, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure whether my children can cope. They
Yeah.
forget themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They are not children, but they forget that if they crumble, even the kids crumble.
Yes.
So, number one, it's not the end of a story. It's actually like another chapter in a
Mm.
story.
Mm.
So it's like this chapter is done. Now I'm moving on. So how do you do this, the next chapter in a healthy way? So for me, I would say, please self first. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, as I said, if you're not mentally healthy, then you're not healthy for the children. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
So work on your mental health space first. While you're working on the mental health space, while at it, please work hard because the bills are more.
Right.
We've
Right.
seen instances in families when people were together, the man was doing everything. Now you're divorced. People go as petty as let's go 50-50. It is what it is.
Mm.
So the bills are more. You have to pay a lawyer, you have to pay a therapist. While you're looking at your mental health space, please also work hard while at it.
Mm.
And also be mindful, be cautious of your children and people around you
Mm.
because the children see a lot, they learn a lot. So your energy, whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
whatever energy you have, also it goes to the children.
Yeah.
So if you tell them this father is a bad person, your father was such a bad man, even that girl of yours, or even that son of yours will marry tomorrow.
Hmm.
So let's be mindful, self first,
Yeah.
then the children, try and talk to them about the changes, because even in this co-parenting space where we are, we've
Mhm.
released children to start visiting the fathers or the mothers, and at the end of the day the children are crying every day,
Mhm.
where the father is introducing a new spouse, for example, and
Yeah.
a new girlfriend. And this child didn't know. The child has already left the father. Before you know it, he's being introduced to an auntie. You knew this person as an auntie. All of a sudden, the auntie is now stepmom.
Hmm.
There's a lot of confusion. So healing goes, help your self comes first. The
Yeah.
children go for that therapy, and the journey, it's just a new chapter. The
Hmm.
story is not yet over.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
Yeah,
that. Paula,
I think
as you give us your response, maybe you could also maybe before that touch on some unhealthy patterns you have observed from
yeah.
couples who've divorced, and you're in the rebuilding stage, but then there's some patterns that you're still kuna tabia bado unaendelea kufanya.
Yeah, I think some of the toxic behaviors or traits that we've seen is one of them is rushing into new relationships, too quickly. I'm sorry, but there's so many people who do this. You immediately you skip the healing, you skip the grief, you've moved on, you've like Annette said, you've packed your bags and you've gone to the next person.
Wait,
So
wait, 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 wait. What if that is the relationship that's going to help this person heal?
I mean, Catherine, let's be realistic. We've just broken down the cost of, divorce emotionally, financially, physically. So let's like actually, be practical. You can't get divorced really on the 24th of June and by the 30th of July you already, you've moved on. I mean, there are
And
going
you
to
have
be
another child. You are going to the children's court. How many
yeah,
times?
in fact what it does is you've disorganized your whole process, your own process. So that's
Okay.
one of the common ones that we've seen. Another one we've seen is people using children as pawns, obviously. you know
Mm-hmm.
make sure you tell daddy this, make sure, did you see mommy with somebody, what is she up to these days, certain types of things. And then, like I had said before, is ignoring that healing space. Actually, what I had wanted to say, just to add to what Annette had said is healing isn't linear. You should actually allow yourself to grieve that relationship. It's okay. Stop skipping, stop skipping the healing. Go through the journey, go through the grief, seek therapy, seek counseling, seek family support, you know just embrace the new journey. I've seen also some clients, after the end of a divorce, this person actually, starts looking different, starts dressing different. You start realizing "Kumbe, you didn't like, those other things. Maybe it's this other person who used to like them." Just embracing this new journey and this
Yeah.
new chapter. There's really no rush.
Yeah. I
Mm.
like that. I like that. So you've said we wait. So you've said we don't
You
use the
don't
real
want to,
stage to.
yeah. Just give yourself time.
Okay. Okay. I see. So let's take your final takeaway, even as we hit our 2 hour mark. First of all, yeah, just give us one final takeaway, or even two. Already I have one from Annette: fall in love with wisdom. So that is like the anchor of this entire conversation.
Fall in love. Yeah, I think for me to close, one thing that I want our viewers this evening to take away with them is we started off this conversation and this live stream by saying we're not professionals, relationship professionals. We're not here to advise you whether you should stay or leave your relationship, but make sure you have answered your own questions. Because divorce is often a permanent solution to what is usually a chaotic or overwhelming season. So before you take that step, Pause, take some time, just pause, ask yourself if you've communicated all your deepest truths. Have you sought the type of help that you require? Are you moving forward towards something healthier, or are you running from a painful present? So another thing that I want viewers to take away today is, if you choose to stay in your marriage, do so with your whole heart. But if you choose to walk away, also do so knowing that you have exhausted all the avenues, you have given your grace, you have given your effort, and you've given your honesty, and you can actually walk away, and with dignity and self-respect as well. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Miss Annette, your final takeaway?
My final takeaway would be, when you make better decisions, you're able to know, do I stay and repair this marriage, or do I dissolve the marriage? Choose peace, choose growth, choose healing. And while at it, work hard, but don't die in that marriage. There are options under the law. More so, if you're undertaking the divorce and then there's abuse, you can get a restraining order. Thank you so much.
Well, ladies, this was incredibly enlightening. I first want to thank you for making time this month of June. We are Fast Series. You are the pioneer law firm and lawyers that, for the legal series on What's the Story Africa for this month of June. We started on the 10th of June, I think. And yeah, it was 10th. Wednesday, the 10th of June was our first episode. And today was our second episode. And you've both been very supportive. We have learned way too much about co-parenting and divorce. And I see someone is just deciding to drop a comment here as we are winding up. You may have to, because I think Annette spoke about this, but I'll just put it there for you, the lawyers, to see. I know you're talking about divorce, but I have a question on inherited land. If the owner, in quotes, spouse, dies without a will, and the only name on the title is the spouse who has passed away, what happens?
So that's under inheritance. And if they
Mm,
are married, of course, they are given priority under the law of inherit succession.
okay.
Yeah, so they have to go under intestate.
Yeah.
When you die without a will, it's called intestate,
Success.
intestate administration.
Okay.
So, but that means we now, if people die without wills, that's opening the floodgates of heaven. You're inviting your mother-in-law, your brothers-in-law, your sisters-in-law, even the neighbors, maybe who used to benefit. So,
Okay.
would also, like, on that note, we encourage people to make wills, but yeah, that person will become a beneficiary
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
were married validly. Remember the types of
Yes.
marriage.
Yes.
Not
And
can we
then
stay? They have a lot of they have a lot of work
work
to do.
to do.
Mm.
But I encourage, if you missed out on this conversation or parts of it and you're watching now, just rewind and just watch again and contact at this point now. The only thing I can say is contact SinPar Legal Clinic. You'll find Paula there, you'll find Annette there, and it is a consultancy, it's a business, it's not charity for now. They give out open days a few days in the year. But for now, these are full-fledged lawyers, fully fledged therapists. You can contact them and just get a consultation. It doesn't hurt to just find out what are your opportunities, options, open doors, closed doors, whatever the case may be. That is actually the essence of the legal series, just practical legal conversations for everyday living. So even if you're in a good relationship with your partner, first we celebrate that. Second, you may have had something here that triggered something. Don't ignore it. Just reach out to the lawyers to just kind of advise what happens next or what do you need to do. It's also good to actually seek help when it's still healthy, and like you heard with Annette's personal experience, she said before she got married, she and her husband went to see a therapist to just put some things in order. So I admire that a lot. But for me, as Catherine, the moderator of What's the Story Africa and the legal series specifically, I want to thank you, Kasande Annette and Paula Wandina Bikonyo, of SinPar Legal Clinic and Kasande Advocates. Thank you so much for gracing the legal series this month of June. I'm so honored that you made time to do this. Thank you so, so very much.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Such an
Thank,
honor.
thank
Okay.
you. Especially
And
to be invited back.
no, it's my absolute pleasure that you said yes to coming back for a second one. And let's see what comes out of this. And to everyone watching, thank you as well for making time to watch this. It's a first of its kind, we know that, and it's really just for lawyers in this country because this is where we live, and this is the headquarters of What's Your Story Africa and the legal series. And thank you for making time. Let us know what topics you want us to discuss, and we'll do our best to know what to do. Until the next one, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye bye.